Come to an easy cross-legged position, palms resting on your knees, and closing your eyes, and start to check in with your breath, noticing your inhales and your exhales, and just noticing if there's any pause, or perhaps your inhales are longer than your exhales, or vice versa. And just start to make the inhales and the exhales match. And on your next inhale, start to lengthen out through the crown of your head. And on your exhale, tilting your right ear toward your right shoulder. And inhale, coming back to the center. And exhale, tilting the head to the other side. And just getting a nice stretch through the side of the neck. Inhale, coming back to the center. And then on your exhale, start to walk the hands forward, keeping the sitting bones working into the mat, grounding down through the sitting bones. And just getting some length through the rib cage and the side body. And on your next inhale, gently lifting the gaze, walking your hands back. And then placing the left hand next to the hip, inhale the right arm up. And on your exhale, tilt over to the left, just getting a nice stretch through the rib cage and side body. Maybe even start to turn your gaze upward, rolling that right shoulder back. And inhale, coming back up, switching sides, and then on your exhale, tilting over to the right. Maybe lifting your gaze, rolling that shoulder back. And then inhale, coming back to the center, and then making your way into tabletop. And we'll just take a couple of rounds of cat-cow here. So on your inhale, pulling your belly button in toward your spine, and just making sure that the wrists are in line with the shoulders and knees in line with the hips. And then start to sink the belly down, gazing up for cow pose. And exhale, bringing your chin towards your chest, arching through the back for cat. Inhale, sinking the belly down, gazing up. And exhale, chin towards your chest, arching through the back. And just take a few more rounds here, going with your breath. And on your next inhale, coming back to tabletop, and then curling your toes under and crossing the hips up and back, keeping your knees very bent here. Really working the hips up toward the ceiling. Melting your heart down toward your feet, shoulder blades onto the back, bringing your gaze toward your navel. And then stay here or start to straighten the legs. Coming into your full downward facing dog, working the heels down as you reach the hips up. And then on your inhale, bending your right knee and reaching the left heel down toward the mat. Inhale, switching, bending the left knee, reaching the right heel down toward the mat. Inhale, switch. Inhale, switch. And then on your next inhale, come up high onto your toes, really pressing the hips up and back, and then start to lower the heels down, keeping the hips in the same position. If you start to notice that your wrists are hurting, turning your fingertips slightly out should help. Otherwise, you can always come down to a forearm plank. Forearm downward facing dog. Good. And just doing your best to honor where you are, coming to your edge and not pushing too much further than that. And then on your inhale, start to bend the knees, gazing forward, and then stepping the feet toward the front of the mat. And coming into a forward fold here. And then on your inhale, start to round up one vertebrae at a time. Sweeping the arms out and up. And then exhale, palms come down to heart center. Good. And taking a full breath here, really spreading through the toes, working the toes into the mat, working the heels into the mat. And then inhale, sweeping the arms up, reaching up. And exhale, folding forward. Inhale the heart forward, hands can come to the shins or out in front. Just being mindful that you're keeping that back nice and flat. And exhale, fold. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, folding. And then stepping the right leg back. Coming into a runner's lunge here, coming up high onto the fingers, and inhale, reaching the chest forward, collarbones broadening, sinking down into the hips. And coming into a runner's lunge. Good, one more breath here. Gazing down toward the left foot, stepping the right foot forward, and on your exhale, left foot comes back. And the same thing, sinking down into the hips, reaching the chest forward, and coming into your runner's lunge on the second side. One more breath here. Gazing down toward the right toes, inhale, stepping the left foot forward, exhale, fold, and inhale, sweeping the arms out and up. And exhale, palms come down to heart center. Inhaling the arms up, reaching up, and exhale, folding forward. Inhale the heart forward. Exhale, fold, and stepping the right leg back. Building on here, so coming up onto the fingertips just for a breath. And then planting that right hand and inhale the left arm up, coming into a twisted lunge here. Good, one more breath here. And exhale, placing the left hand down, stepping the right leg forward, left leg back, coming into the runner's lunge, and then planting the left hand, inhale the right arm up, twisting through the torso, and doing your best to work that right hip down, left hip up, and having that twist come from the torso. And exhale, placing the right hand down, stepping forward. Exhale here. Inhale, sweeping the arms out and up. And exhale, palms come down to heart center. Inhale here. Exhale, hands by your sides. Inhale, bending the knees, sweeping the arms up, Utkatasana, chair pose. Really reaching the tailbone down, pulling your belly button in, reaching the arms back, and exhale, folding forward. Inhale the heart forward, exhale, fold, and then stepping back to plank pose, making sure that the wrists are in line with the shoulders and shoulder width apart. Really scooping up the belly, working the inner thighs in and up. Good, and then on your exhale, lowering all the way down, bending through the elbows. Tops of the feet come down. And then on your inhale, lengthening out through the crown of your head. And inhale, lifting the torso and the hands, coming into a hovering cobra. And exhale down. And making your way back to tabletop. Curling the toes under and pressing up to downward facing dog. And taking one full breath here. And inhale the right leg up behind you. Now on your exhale, pulling the knee toward the nose and then stepping the foot quietly in between your hands. Coming into that runner's lunge just for a moment. And then this time on your inhale, sweeping the arms up and coming into crescent lunge. And see if you can sit just a little bit deeper into that front knee, being mindful that the front knee is right in line with the ankle or slightly behind. Good, one more breath here. And then on your exhale, opening up, spinning the back heel down and making your way into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Maybe you can sit just a little bit deeper, working the edge of the back foot out toward the outer edge of the mat and down. Good, and then energetically pulling the feet toward each other to help engage the legs. And on your exhale, cartwheel the hands down, framing the foot, making your way to plank, lowering down to chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, making your way to downward facing dog. And inhale the right leg up behind, nice and high. And then start to bend that knee, stacking the hips, gazing out underneath the right armpit. And inhale, bringing the hips back to the center. And then pulling the knee in toward the nose and stepping the foot in between the hands. Spinning that back heel down and inhale to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And then interlacing the hands back behind. Inhale, reaching the hands down toward the mat, opening up through the chest. And then bringing the hands over to that left hip. And you can even gaze out toward the side of your mat and just getting a nice stretch through that right shoulder. And then keeping the right hand there, inhale the left arm back behind. And then reaching the left arm up as you tip the torso forward. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you tip into a side angle variation here. Good, inhale, coming back to the center, releasing that right arm out in front. And exhale, cartwheeling the hands down, framing the foot, making your way to plank. And then taking your vinyasa, going through chaturanga, cobra or upward dog, and downward facing dog. And inhale the left leg up behind, and then start to reach that leg nice and high, three-legged dog. And then start to bend the knee, stacking the hips. And inhale, bring the hips back to the center, bending the knee in toward the nose on your exhale, and stepping the foot in between the hands, spinning that back heel down, and inhale to Warrior 2. And then taking the hands back behind and interlacing opposite index and thumb on top, straightening through the arms, reaching the chest up, and then working the hands to that outer hip. Gazing out toward the side of your mat, maybe sinking a little bit deeper, and then sweeping that right arm up, and then maybe you start to tilt and come into a side angle variation. And inhale, coming back up, reaching the left arm forward, and exhale, cartwheeling the hands down, framing the foot, making your way to plank, taking your vinyasa. And then meeting in downward facing dog. And inhale the right leg up behind, stacking the hips, And you can stay here, or you can bring that right foot back behind and make your way into wild thing. Working the hips up toward the ceiling. Inhale, coming back to the center. Reaching that right leg up. And on your exhale, pulling the knee in toward the nose. Stepping the foot in between the hands. Spinning that back heel down. Warrior two. Inhale, straightening through the front knee. Reaching forward and tipping into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Gazing up at the top hand. Or, if that's bothersome to the neck, looking down at the right foot. One more breath here. And then on your exhale, gazing down toward that right foot, bending through the right knee, left hand comes down, and both hands are to the inside of the right foot, coming into lizard pose. And then bringing the left knee down, and maybe you just twist into a twisted lunge, or maybe you reach that right hand back, bending through the left knee, catching the foot, and coming into a twisted lunge variation with a quadricep stretch. And then gently releasing that back foot, reaching the right arm up, and then exhale, placing the right hand, bringing the left leg or right leg back, plank pose, taking your vinyasa, and meeting in downward facing dog. If those vinyasas get to be too much, you can always just go straight to downward facing dog, or you can hit pause and take a breather. That's the beauty of doing a video. And then on your inhale, reaching the left leg up behind, nice and high, and stacking the hips. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you flip into wild thing. And inhale, coming back to the center, reaching that left leg up. And exhale, bringing the knee in toward the nose, stepping the foot in between the hands, spinning the back heel down, and inhale to warrior two. Good. And then inhale, the front leg straight, reaching forward, and on your exhale, tipping into Trikonasana on the second side. Gazing up toward that top hand if the neck allows for it. And doing your best to stack the shoulders. And then on your exhale, gazing down toward the left toes, bending through the left knee, reaching the right hand down, left hand comes to the inside of the left foot, and maybe just stepping that foot out just slightly, coming into lizard pose. And stay here or bring the back knee down and twist over toward that left knee. Stay here or catch the right foot with the left hand. And inhale, gently releasing. And exhale, placing that left hand and then bringing the left leg back. Plank pose, taking your vinyasa if you'd like. And meeting in downward facing dog. On your inhale, gazing forward, bending the knees, and then stepping or hopping the hands right behind the feet, right behind the wrists. And turning the toes out. And on your exhale, sinking the hips down, coming into Malasana or garland pose. And then bringing the hands to heart center, or you can keep the hands working into the mat. And then do your best to really reach the chest forward. And then on your exhale, placing the hands, picking the hips up, and then walking the feet a comfortable distance. And inhale the heart forward, and exhale, fold. You're just grabbing onto your big toes, bending the knees, and reaching the chest forward, gazing forward. And then maybe stay here, or on your exhale, start to straighten the legs, using the arms, bending the elbows out to the sides to help bring the torso down. I'm very gentle here, especially if you have tight hamstrings like me. You want to be very mindful and gentle. And then gently releasing the toes, and then putting a slight bend in the knees as you roll up. Reaching the arms out and up. And exhale, palms come down to your heart center.